Energy, cool. Energy, and your detoxification. So we've got a excuse my French, a shitload of toxins in our body, in our environment, and our body's really good at getting rid of them. However, when we've got an overload of toxicity in our environment and in our food, then it starts to struggle. And this is what happens is with a lot of people, especially when we live in the city. I live in the city. Um, there's building works around, there's all these different chemicals, and there's about 40,000 chemicals in just like that are not known to our body. So there's a lot of allergens and a lot of things that can trigger things in our body. And I just want you to be a bit aware of them and how you can get rid of them, or at least you can make some attempts to get rid of them. So do this. So again, like as always, I'm going to try and respect your time. Thank you for investing the time in yourself and in this training today. I really hope that it's worth your while and you find a lot of value from it. And even if you just take 1% of what I say out of you and take it into your everyday life, my job is done. And please eliminate all distractions and be honest with yourself and me. I'm here to serve you. That's my promise. So, show up for yourself. And if you wanted to, okay. So right now, where people are at the moment is often low energy. And for a lot of people, that can take on lots of different forms. But generally speaking, it takes the form of brain fatigue, physical fatigue, insomnia, procrastination, sleep issues, constipation, bloating. And what that can do is it can cause you to show up in your work and your relationships completely different, completely not authentic to who you are. And it stops you from doing things. It stops you from making a job change. It can prevent you from, taking travels, taking time off work, taking the time to actually be with your family, because maybe you've not got the energy. I know I've met people who actually don't have the energy to go and run and play ball with their kids. They simply just don't have the energy to do it. And so hopefully some of the solutions I give you today will help you find your way or navigate around that. Because in an ideal world, we want to have optimal energy. And, having optimal energy means that you can be shit hot at your job. You can be a shit hot spouse, a wife or a husband. You can be great at parenting. So everything, when you've got that energy in flow, when energy is going really high, is that anything, you can become unstoppable. Anything is possible. There's a bit of thunder there. So again, going back to the model of the body reset, it's a 3-phase. We have 3 phases to it, and that is the intelligent nutrition, mind management, and then the strategy and rest. And for ultimate health, I believe all of these are equally important. I think a lot of the time we have the old school thinking that what we eat is just about how often we move and what's on our plate. But the more we're seeing now, more and more suicide rates are going up. Problems with stress, anxiety, ADHD, all these problems are going up, and it's much more than what's just on your plate, but also is between your ears, has something to do with it. And if we can address that issue, we might get a bit closer to optimal health. And I want you to, shortcuts. It's all about shortcuts. So if I can impart on you a little bit of knowledge that can help you get there quicker to where you want to be, whatever that might look like for you, is, that's all I want to do. We're going to go through detoxification today and why it's essential for optimal energy, what a toxic body looks like, and a toxic brain as well. We'll talk about that, and some of the causes. And also then I'm going to give you just 3 strategies that are quite impactful, not quite, I'm going to say very impactful, if you do them consistently. And they're so simple that there's absolutely no reason why anybody can't do them. Even if you are, immobile or struggling, you have something out there that you can actually take at least one piece of information from this and put it into your life. So there's no excuses. Okay. As before, if you have any questions, leave them to the end or just DM me later. So detoxification, why is it so important? It's the number 1 way to eliminate toxins. So if your body's always exposed, like I said, to toxins, and it holds those toxins in its tissues, so muscle tissues, fat tissues, and brain. But it has some really incredible pieces of equipment, such as your liver, your lymphatic system, your skin, your lungs, to get rid of these processes, your kidneys. And so it's really important to basically get rid of them. And when you don't get rid of them, what happens is those toxins have got nowhere to go. And so they stay in tissues, particularly in fat tissue, right? So the more fat you've got, often the more toxins you carry. If you've got a toxic, if your body is toxic or your mind, you've got that toxicity level, then that has an impact on everything. Let me try and move this. So inflammation, it impacts the quality of your sleep. Also let me try and share this right there. Let me just, oh, it's not going to do it. Okay, I'll try and switch my home. Inflammation, which is, the root of all disease. Immune function, if your body is full of toxins, it's literally the toxic load. If it's so high, it doesn't have the artillery, it doesn't have the weapons to actually get rid of infections. So everything takes a toll. And this is something that a lot of people live with, but they don't realize how simple it can be just to make some really simple changes. So what does a toxic body look like? If you're looking from a standpoint of work, then it can be very painful. Indecision, fatigue, really struggling to make a decision, simple decisions that at one time perhaps took you, didn't take you very long to make. You sort of toy with them. If you're weighing up the pros and cons, because your brain is so toxic and your body is so toxic, but your brain is so toxic, it can't make that decisions. It's struggling. Think of your brain as a computer. And, we've all had a computer that's got a virus, right? And think of that virus as a toxin. When your body and your brain, or when your computer has got that virus in there, everything's slow. It doesn't matter how fast the processing equipment actually is, but if it's got that virus in there, it wheedles its way in, and it permeates every part of your computer, and everything becomes slow. Even just opening the internet, opening simple pieces of software becomes slow. And this is exactly the same with your toxins in your body. If you've got lots of toxins or lots of viruses or bugs in your body, then you can have an amazing brain, but it's just too toxic for it to actually, find the solution, because it's just cluttered. Imagine a room that has, lots and lots of clutter, and you're trying to look for, a 10-cent piece or 20-cent piece. It's the same kind of thing. So when you've got all that clutter, those toxins in your body, it's really hard to make decisions. Mood swings, anxiety, irritability. Maybe you are really short-tempered. Maybe you flip at your kids and there's no real reason. You just do it because you are struggling to control what's going on inside. Other issues that can sort of, that you can see more when you look in, the mirror on your clothes, is water retention. So a lot of people carry extra water. And the reason for this is, well, there's some reasons, medications, but one of the reasons is that if you've got too many toxins in your body wants to maintain something called homeostasis. And this just means balance. So I don't know if you remember back in science, in chemistry, at school, but there's a semi-permeable membrane, right? And your body's always trying to get more water in to balance out the toxins. The reality is that if you have toxins in your body and you have no way of getting them out, or you have equipment that's not working or not functioning properly, then that toxic load goes up and up. And it's like stacking the toxins on each other. So you might have a toxic environment and the toxins stay there. And then you put more toxins in and more toxins in and more toxins in. And your body just keeps absorbing more water and more water to try and counteract it. But it's not going to work, because there's so many toxins, it can't deal with it. And this ends up being really puffy skin. I know myself, when I've had, in the past, I was having a lot of sugar or alcohol, is you can feel your skin is quite puffy. And that puffiness it's interstitial fluid, but it's basically where your body is retaining the water. And it's doing that to try and help you. It's always trying to achieve balance. You can make it really simple by just making sure you eradicate the toxins and you minimize the toxins that come in. It's quite simple. Bad breath, that's another sign. Allergies, frequent infections, especially UTIs, they often can have it could be because of bacterial load, bloating, indigestion, constipation, and also diarrhea as well. Is your body's always, like I said, your body's always trying to get rid of things. It's always trying to find a solution. But often, if your brain, if you're not working with it, your body doesn't know it's doing all these things on its own, but it needs you to actually be the driver and help it out a little bit. And in terms of performance, so I touched on this before, but when you might not realize, but when you're struggling to make decisions, that's often a sign that there's something going on. And, there are lots of different ailments out there, but if you're not getting if you're not using your equipment, your detoxification properly, and I'm not talking about, a juice detox or anything like that, just a daily detox. Your body's created, your body's designed to do a daily detox. If it's not detoxing daily, if the equipment is failing because of something that's going on, it can't get rid of the toxins. So this means headaches, mood swings, anxiety. You're not able to make these decisions, errors that maybe you wouldn't have made in the past. And what does healthy detoxification look like? So, just exactly the opposite. When you're feeling clear and you're in flow and you know what to do, of course, there's going to be struggles and challenges, but they become challenges and not struggles. And that's what I want to really impress on you, that challenges are a normal part of life, but they're there to make you go stronger. The struggles are completely different, because if it's struggling, then you're on the back foot. So I want to give you some tools that make you on the front foot. Pain in your joints. You want to have no pain in your joints. When you've got toxins in your body, they can go to your joints. So you want to get rid of all those toxins. You want to feel as though you're lighter. So where are you? I don't want you to, you don't have to put anything in the comments. You can put it in comments if you want. But how do you feel in terms of toxicity? Do you think your brain is struggling? Is it struggling to get a grip? Is your body, do you think you have puffy skin? Maybe you've got rashes. Maybe you feel really heavy, constipation, bloating, holding excess fluid. All these things are signs, very clear signs, that something's not working properly. UTIs, again, something that can be prevented with the right strategy. So just put me down in the comments. So what's the cause of toxicity? So like I said, there's 40,000 chemicals in our environment, and some of them, amazingly, are actually banned in Europe, which is great, but it's not so great for Australia, because we think we're quite eco-friendly, but when you think about these chemicals that are in our water supply, in our farming, and they infiltrate our skin and they infiltrate our food supply, then we've got a lot of toxins and our body's got to get rid of them. So we want to make sure that our natural detox process is working. So I'll go through some of these, but dehydration is the most common. Really, really simple to fix, but a lot of people just sort of sidestep it. They can be having headaches, and I know a lot of people that instead of having, just a large glass of water, when they've got a headache, instead they reach for paracetamol or ibuprofen. Short term, yes, that might help, but it's not addressing the root cause, which is the dehydration. Remember, if your body has a lot of toxins, it needs to get rid of those toxins. And if it's got no way out, or faulty equipment, or it hasn't got the right medium, such as water, to get rid of those toxins, it has no choice. It has no choice but to stay put. Lack of movement, constipation, processed foods, sugar. Lack of movement is really something that a lot of people underestimate, because we actually have a system which is one of our main detox systems called the lymphatic system. This system, I'm going to go into a bit more depth later, but this system is responsible for a lot of detoxification. It doesn't have a pump, so it relies purely on movement and locomotion. So if you're not moving around, again, the toxins just stay put. Even if you're having water, the toxins stay put because they need that push to get out of your system. But more on that later. Cosmetics and beauty products as well. You know, having obviously men probably won't be as into that, but the women, you know, a lot of our makeup products have got toxins in there that many of them are actually sent to Australia because Europe won't accept them now with the EU protocols in place. So be mindful and be aware of what you're actually putting on your skin. Your skin is a semi-permeable membrane. It's basically like a sieve. So whatever you put on it infiltrates your skin. So just be aware of that. Imbalanced gut, again, chemicals have a part to play in this. And heavy metals, if you're in an old house or you know, have a check around, see how you feel. If you haven't managed to get the download the lifestyle diary from yesterday, and you know, think about how do you feel when you're in the house versus how you feel out of the house or in the office. Maybe there's a toxin in your area, such as damp or black mold, that causes a problem with you. Then just by identifying it, you've got, you know, you're halfway there. That awareness is halfway there to finding a solution. And smoking and alcohol also really, you know, they can play a lot of put a big toxic load on your body. So your body is, like I said, it is designed to get rid of some toxins to a certain extent. And there's a bunch of ways that it does this, but it's you know, it has its own separate system called lymphatic system. The lungs, the skin, the liver, and the kidneys are all hugely important in detoxing. We think about the liver as an important organ, but it's also everything else that comes into play. So making sure that they're all functioning right is helpful. The first strategy that you need to go over, and that I really want to impress on you again, is exercise. As I touched on before, is we have an internal system. We have our internal circulation, which is our blood. It pumps our immune, you know, it looks after our immune system. But we also have our lymphatic system. And lymphatic system is something that is like another set of pipes, so to speak. It's like our internal plumbing system. And what this does is it basically takes the byproducts from metabolism and it gets rid of them. So when you've got toxins, then what happens is those toxins then go into the lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system takes them out to be excreted or urinated, right? But if this lymphatic system isn't working properly, then obviously you have a problem, because it's just like anything. If the pump isn't working, right, then it won't happen. There'll be no excretion. The interesting thing is that the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. Therefore, it relies purely on you pumping it. This looks like exercise, and that's the simplest, easiest way I can put it. If you can, going out for a walk, stretching your body, moving your body, putting your hands just above your head so that you're giving some demand, you're challenging your lymphatic system and you're moving around, will get things moving. This is so important and so underestimated, because lymphatic system is where, you know, where we have, I'm sure you've heard of some of the diseases that come from it, but we need to prevent these diseases because they're becoming more and more prevalent in our daily life. So making sure that this lymphatic system is moving. If you sit, you know, all day, if you're sat at a chair and you're sat at your desk, do a few things and make it part of your daily habits to just get up and move. Just think of your body just stuck and your lymphatic system's not moving anywhere if you're sat on your bum. A few ways that you can do it is just making a note of an alarm on your phone. Having an alarm on your phone that goes off, you know, every hour, whatever it might be, for you to get up, maybe do a stretch. So stretching is like it's like a way of self-massage. Stretching gets the lymphatic system moving. You could just put your hands above your head, take a walk, do some stretching, getting your breath, doing some deep breathing through your nose. That will also help your lymphatic system move. Get yourself a habit tracker. Streak app is really good. I think it's about $5.50 for a year or something like that. And it's just basically about forming habits. There's lots of ways on my program if you want to join. How I teach it. I teach you the step by step how to replace your habits. But for purposes of this, if you just want to try your luck and try and do it yourself, then a habit stacker or a streak app is really good as well. Getting a coach. So you don't have to, you can get yourself a coach in the fight, a paid coach, but you can also just use your spouse as well. You get them to maybe do an accountability, help them, they help you and you help them. But getting a coach is really important, depending on how far you want to go. Having accountability with a gym buddy. So again, that's sort of like a little bit of a bit of coaching. So you're relying on each other. And adding on to existing habits. Again, I go more about this in our program, The Vitality Blueprint. But for purposes of this, if you've got habits, look into existing habits. A great book is called The Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's what I recommend to all my clients. In fact, I gift it to everybody. But it's got some really good points in there. So if you're a reader, definitely recommend that book. An alarm moment. I've done that one already. Strategy number 2, water. So I didn't want to make this strategy number 1 because I think everybody's sick of being told how much water they need. But I thought I'll give you a few little facts. So your body is made of about 60%, 50 to 60% water. And this water you're losing all the time. You're losing when you're talking, you're losing when you're speaking. What happens though is a lot of people forget to actually top up the tank, so to speak. So you may have 60% of water, but most people are carrying a lot lighter load simply because they don't drink enough water. What's worse is they drink things like tea and coffee, which can actually act as a diuretic and actually let more water flow through you, so you lose even more water. So I want you to be really aware of 60%, and that number's, it shows up a lot. If you look at the earth, it's 60% water, right? And life needs water. And I'm hoping that you're alive. And if you want to live properly, you need to have 60% water. Because if you look at everything else, once it's depleted of water, things start to waver. Water is really important in regulating your body temperature, maintaining your cell structure, lubricating your joints, and also is just for getting your brain working. So having a think about your brain is made up of also a big portion of water. If you're depleted, if you're dehydrated, your brain can't function. It doesn't have the rivers to send information. So think of the water as, maybe think of it as part of the rivers in your brain. A really good way, there's a lot of different ways of how much water you should actually have. So it depends on the climate, your age, it depends on your level of activity, any drugs or medication you take, how much processed foods. There's lots of different factors involved and variants that change this up. But 2 liters, 1.5, 2 liters is a really good mark. What you want to be aware of as well is that as you get older, over sort of like the 45, 50 mark, like myself, is you actually get less thirsty. And what happens then is that because people don't have that trigger of feeling thirst, they forget to drink completely. And this is why you see a lot of people, particularly in old ages, that they age faster than what they would, because water is an anti-aging medium. And also is that they can suffer from UTIs, a lot more digestive issues, simply because they're just not having enough water. And it's a really simple technique, but a lot of people are suffering because they're just not putting that in place. So having a look at your urine is, not the prettiest, but it's probably one of the most effective. You go to a doctor and they want to see your urine for a reason. There's lots you can tell from it. Not only does it tell you the toxic load, but it tells you how much water you're having. So you'll see, on the far end of the scale, it's severe dehydration. And this looks like a really foggy brain. You probably just jumping around, you're not making sense. You say the wrong words. This can be, and even passing out and getting dizziness. Very dehydrated, lightly dehydrated. You want to be really good, at least good, good or fair. So next time you go to the bathroom, have a look, because that's a really good sign. You're in charge of your body, and just taking this little step can avoid you hospitalization, but just even a trip to the doctors, which costs a fortune at the moment. So, it's just in your good health just to get this one thing done. Also, if you've got kids, I think it's really empowering for them just to, take a picture of it, and just really empowering for them to know what color their wee needs to be. Kids haven't got a clue, and they are active all the time. So it's really good just to give them that knowledge. Unhealthy is if your body is dry. So if you don't have any water, your body literally cannot flush out toxins. So it's similar to this, as opposed to being healthy, where it can actually flourish. Again, and which one would you want to shower in? You want to shower in the flowing water. So it's the same is, rather than the stagnant, unhealthy water that's already in your body, you want to keep flushing it out, flushing it out. I tell clients to think of it as like a gutter. And along a gutter is, all the debris stays in at the side of the gutter and attaches. You need to flush it out. A little drip of water is not going to get rid of the junk, of the toxins. You need to actually get rid of it all in one swoop. And the third final is sugar. Sugar's not all bad. Depending on how it's eaten, what time it's eaten, and with what. Food combined is really important in terms of sugar. You want to be having really no more than 4 to 6 teaspoons per day of sugar, and that's what the World Health Organization currently, that's their guidelines. Sugar in the brain. So interesting fact is that when you actually go to an operation on your brain, they actually give you a sugar solution and to drink prior to the operation. And the reason for this? To shrink your brain. So when you're having a sugar solution, be it Coke or orange juice, any juices the same, orange juice, or the peach juices or the nectars, or even the juice smoothies, if the sugar and the protein balance is not correct, that will give you a massive sugar high, but also it will shrink your brain. So you can imagine that when your brain is, stressed, i.e. it's shrunk, it's not going to be at full capacity. It's not going to be able to deal with stress, anxiety. It's not going to be able to deal with problems or problem solving that just sort of comes on the way. It won't be able to deal with things that life throws at you. If you're having a car accident, for example, your reflexes will be much quicker if you've got a clear brain. It just makes sense. So moderating your sugar, making sure that you eat it at the right time of the day with the right food combination is crucial for you to ensure that you've got brain health. Sugar has been seen, they've done lots of studies on sugar, and and I'm sure you're aware of them, but they did the brain studies, and sugar addiction and cocaine addiction form very, very similar, light up very similar areas of the brain. And that's for a reason, right? And we give this to our children, we give this to ourselves, and we have it in lots of different forms. And I'm not saying go cold turkey on sugar, but be mindful of how you eat it, when you eat it, and with what you eat it, and where your sugar comes from. So processed white sugar, even brown sugar, you don't want to have any of that. Lollies, sweets, pastries, And remember, carbohydrates, sugar as well. So, pastas and things like that. If you're just having a pasta, that's just pure sugar. So just be aware of that because that will shrink your brain. You'll notice as well is that when you do have sugar, is after you've had it, you're much more tired. And that's one of the side. So homework for today, you can share or not. But I want you to think about movement as a pump. And if you're not pumping, just imagine the water in a well, right? If you're not pumping that water, it's not going to move, and the water will remain in the bottom of the well. And it's the same with your body. You need locomotion. You need to be moving every single day because you need that pressure on your lymphatic vessels to push the toxins through. It's your internal plumbing system. And so it's really important you keep it going. Human body wasn't designed for it to sit still and not do anything. So, think about that and start seeing how you can implement daily activity into your day. Have some awareness. How much water are you drinking? And even if it's 2 liters, but your urine is still like sort of on the end of dehydrated, then a couple of things you can do is add a little bit of salt to it. So I would suggest Himalayan salt in the morning. And if that still fails, come and see me or go to your doctor and explain what's happening, because if you're having 2 liters of water a day, drink a little bit more water, but your body might not be absorbing it. So you want to look into that and just be mindful. And if you've got kids as well, educate them about it. Take it as an opportunity. Tell them about, the colour of urine. It's not the prettiest thing to talk about around the dinner table, but it is pretty empowering. And, your kids can grow up to be empowered individuals. And just by having enough water, they can, get rid of that. They can stay out of hospital and out of doctors' waiting rooms a lot longer. And what's one thing you can do to detox? So this could be making sure that you put your alarm on and every hour you do a stretch, or you ensure that you've got, one thing that I tell clients to do is to fill up every day 2 liters bottles of water, have one in the kitchen and one by their desk, and aim to have finished both or at least one of them in the day before you can leave work. It's really simple. It's a really simple thing to do, but it works. And water, I think if it was a pill, it would be sold out. But unfortunately, that's not the case just yet. So what did you find the most valuable? Anybody want to share or not? Okay. All right. Well, thanks for being with me today. And I am really impressed you got to day 4. Hope it serves you. And I will see you tomorrow, final day. And we're going to do a roundup as well. And I will be sending you all the information so that you can keep up your consistency. All right. Take care. And thanks for investing this time in yourself. Bye-bye.